Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Mind Split Cafe. Matt, today we have a very interesting one. I know I say that a lot, but this one it's got a really cool backstory to it. But before I let you take the mic and before we introduce Miss Kim, I just want to do a shameless plug for our upcoming event, which is on learning disabilities and substance use recovery, March 25th, 7 p.m. We'll put the Eventbrite link in the description. But Matt, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm great, Chris. How are you doing today?
Oh man, I'm alive. I can't complain. Yeah, so we have Miss Kim today. Miss Kim is a friend of Miss Lisa, who we had on a couple weeks back. So thank you, Miss Lisa. I know you're going to be watching this, so thank you for the introduction.
Shout out to Miss Lisa. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
no kidding. She's given us like 3 or 4 people by now.
She has. Miss Lisa is amazing.
She's actually going to be on the panel as well for that event. So if you like watching her, come check her out as well. But Miss Kim, do you want to give yourself a quick little introduction and we can get to it?
Sure. I'm Kim Bellis. I'm the founder of Sober is the New Cool, which started in 2013 because my son became epileptic. So from playing football 5 nights a week to no more sports, absolutely nothing, and having to have our lives turned upside down.
Mm.
Alcohol would never be a part of his life. And at that point, I kind of made a pact with him that I would stop drinking for 3 months, and it's 12 years later, and here I am.
Wow. Wow.
That's insane. That is phenomenal.
Oh my gosh. So,
So you
what
went
year
into
was
the
what year was he diagnosed? That was he was
In 2013.
but like
2000,
he was a teenager? Was he a
yes,
young adult
13,
or he
13
was
years
13?
old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was 13 years old, diagnosed epileptic, and then you basically quit cold turkey from there.
Well, like basically what happened was after a few months of thinking he could go back to football, that it was
Yeah.
just really concussions. We never thought he was epileptic, this kind of. So end of 2012, these seizures started happening, but it was always after football. So we kind of figured it was, even the doctors thought it was, if he gives him a break at football, he'll be okay. And needless to say, that didn't happen. And so then he was diagnosed with epilepsy. And the first year we had 11 seizures, even with the meds, knowing that, he was a teenager and I'm from Canada. People are allowed to drink at 18, not 21. So the
Oh
kids
wow.
here start even younger. And
And what part of
football,
Canada are you in right now, Kim?
I'm Montreal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Okay.
love Montreal.
So yeah, so the kids backpack, booze, beer, football, it all kind of goes together. And so after a few months, we finally got him on some medication. And believe it or not, the doctors had even said to him, you could have a drink or two. Well, I don't know too many teenagers that have one or two and stop. So
No,
Yeah, that's not
discipline
how
is
that works.
discipline is not really a teenager's game, right?
yeah,
So they like to do things in abundance,
yeah,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get that. Now, I have were you, on a personal question,
Yes.
were you just a social drinker when you decided you were going to put everything down, or were you like, I needed a drink every day to function, a high functioning type person? I'm just trying to get the idea of how hard it was for you to say, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to stop drinking. Were you one that had a drink in your hand all the time, or were you one that had a drink once a week? So quitting for 3 months isn't going to be that difficult.
No.
I'm just curious.
No, I had wine every day. Wine every day. Did people think I had a problem? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
To this day, people keep saying you never had a problem. But to me, the way I look at it is, one, alcohol was not a stranger to my family. We did have problems with alcohol in my family.
Agreed.
Two, if after 12 years I still don't want to have a drink, there must have been a problem somewhere. Whether you have, to me, I think whether you have 4 glasses of wine or you have 4 bottles, if it's not good, and alcohol, and I realized when I stopped for 3 months how much better I felt.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I loved him more than I loved myself. So
Agreed.
he was my priority. It was about how, if I was having so much trouble socially everywhere I went, people saying, oh, just come in the corner, have a drink, we won't tell. And
Yeah.
I had made a promise to my son. I thought, how is he going to manage? So
Yeah.
it just, turned in. And he really didn't want to talk about being epileptic. He didn't want to be different from everybody else. He wanted
course
to
not.
be able to have booze, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And especially him being a preteen or like, going through those teenage years. You said he was diagnosed when he was 13, and now he's trying to navigate middle school and high school.
Yeah.
And
the whole
all his
landscape.
other friends are, at these parties or, after the football games, and they're backpacking beers and whatever. Like you could, I'm assuming, you could feel that stress and that anxiety or that social pressure to be like, why am I different?
Yes.
Why was I
Absolutely.
chosen to be different? And, Jimmy Ray down the street can drink beers and he's, 17, 18 years old. Right. And so I'm sure that was extremely difficult. And I think that me personally seeing that you gave up something that you felt comfortable with. It wasn't a crutch. It wasn't a necessity, but it was something that you felt comfortable with, having a glass of wine every day. For you to sacrifice that comfortability for the sake of your son, because you love him obviously more than you love, a cab, right? Or a Merlot, whatever. That's commendable to you, Kim, and I give you your flowers now. That's a beautiful sacrifice.
It's a selfless sacrifice.
Selfless sacrifice.
You did it for someone else, not even yourself. That's phenomenal.
Well, I think too, in the first little while, I remember some of his friends came, and I remember hearing him say, you guys can't drink here because my mother stopped for me. So I was his crutch, and I guess he was mine.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
love
how
that.
yeah.
And then the kids weren't, I'm assuming he did that. I don't know your son, but I'm sure he's a phenomenal young man. But I'm sure he did that to kind of say, hey, guys, don't make fun of me.
Yes.
Don't make fun of me. Like, I'm not the one the one. She's not doing it for me. Like, I could if I wanted to, but you know what I'm saying? But let's respect my mom in her house. And then that way it kind of deflects that social pressure and that social anxiety of not, in his mind, not fitting in or not being able to fit
different.
In. Yeah, being different, right? And so I think that's a great thing that he was able to use you, even though if it was kind of made up, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But like he was able to use you as a way to get through this part of life for him. Because we all know we're all older. I don't like to use the word old, but we're all seasoned. We're all seasoned adults, right? And so I think that we know that later on in life, when you're in your 20s and your 30s, if you don't drink, it's quite all right. Like you can find friends that are kind of in your same way of thinking or do the kind of same interests, right? And so you could essentially find friends that don't give you that pressure to drink, but in high school you're kind of like jumbled.
It's the landscape of being a teenager. Like that's what you do.
You're jumbled into this group based on your address and where you live to go where you're assigned to this school, so
and we know teenagers can be pretty ruthless, so that's something
be.
else. Like the name calling and the you're a loser, you don't fit in. So it could be vicious.
Yeah. So did just out of curiosity, did any of his friends or so-called friends, I'm assuming after this question, did any of his friends like give him any shit about like not being able to drink or, oh, you're going to use your mom as a crutch, or were they supportive of your son and been like, hey, what is your son's name? I'm sorry.
Matthew.
Matt.
Oh.
Oh, okay, great name. He's a
So
great name.
Kyle,
Yeah. So did anybody give Matthew any problems after this kind of came out, and this is the way Matthew and Kim are going to kind of move in this direction and not have alcohol?
Well, to be honest with you, just to put it bluntly, they were really not very nice. They had seen him have a seizure at one point, and at that point, a lot of people kind of just moved away from him. One, they were afraid to have him around because
Yeah.
it's terrifying when and he had a
Scary.
grand mal seizures when he falls on the ground, and
Yeah.
his whole body convulses. So yeah, I get it, but I have to say that all these so-called friends of his kind of disappeared. I don't know if it was so much the drinking and or the epilepsy, but they didn't want to go to like places where there were flashing lights. They couldn't do this, they couldn't do that, and they didn't put aside, except for one young man. And then they slowly came back around, but the damage was done at that point. They were
Yeah.
selfish.
I mean, I'm not going to stick up for the kids, but I remember being a teenager myself. And if there was something that I didn't understand or I wasn't comfortable or familiar with, I just kind of basically just kept
Pushed
going
away.
in a
Yeah.
different direction, right? Like it wasn't against anything. I'm assuming it wasn't against anything that Matthew was doing, but I could get where a kid would be scared hanging out with Matthew and then him having a seizure. What do? You're not trained. And I say this out of experience because my mom suffers from epilepsy. So I've seen my mom laid out on the kitchen floor shaking, and you've just kind of got to let it ride out and just make sure that, there's nothing you can do, and to be comfortable with not being able to do anything except for make sure the surroundings are safe, right?
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, and being a teenager going through that, it's probably terrifying.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And so I can understand where they were scared or the fear of unknown. So it's like, I don't know, but I think that your son is a stronger human being.
Oh yeah.
For being, I don't want to say the victim, but being the person that has to deal with, I thought all these friends were cool with me and now they've kind of whittled away. I'm dealing with this personal thing that I never asked for, this condition, but I've got a loving mom who supports me and who is started this really, really cool foundation. Sober is the New Cool, which you can find at soberisthenewcool.ca, by the way. Shameless plug. But I think that him having a great mom and a supportive mom like you are, Kim, I think that's he's better off,
Yeah, that helps out.
I'm just saying that.
Well, the funny thing is, 12 years later, he's had friends that have had problems with drugs and alcohol. And, some of the kids have come over to the house to pick up T-shirts to support somebody when they do go to a party. So it's turned a huge corner, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Turned a full circle. Geez.
And can I also pose this? I mean, I know epilepsy, like I said, I've dealt with it in my family too. But maybe his condition was a blessing.
Oh yeah.
And I say this because, like you said, some of his friends later down the line have turned into alcohol and substance abuse and have gone down a wrong path, right? Had he not had, and I'm just posing this, but had he not been diagnosed with epilepsy, who's to say he doesn't follow Timmy Parker down that same path, right?
Well, Kim even said it that alcohol is no stranger to the family, so it's very well could have.
This is more of like, hey, we need to save you now, Matthew, at 13, so we're going to bless you with this diagnosis.
Yeah. And bless me.
And bless you, Kim.
Yeah.
Yes. And bless you
gave me my life back.
Yes, gave you your life back,
I
gave
love
you
it.
your son back, because think
Yes.
of the hardships had he gone down this other path. And I know this is all circumstantial, but
Yeah.
giving you a life that you can share with your son Matthew, drama free, and not having to deal with all this other substance or alcohol,
And
you know,
something to
assume.
bond over
Yeah.
too.
So, you know, it's unfortunate he has the condition, right? I know
Yeah.
it's, you know, but it's treatable, and it's, you know, you can
Yes.
live with it. It's not great, but you can live with it. But it's a lot better off than being addicted to meth, or
Yeah.
you know,
Well, he is
doing a bottle of Jim Beam every day, you know.
he is seizure free 7 years now. So
Oh wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
that
Yeah.
is oh, that's amazing. That's
Yes.
fantastic. So let's talk about Sober is the New Cool, right? Like I said, sober is the new cool.ca is the website. You're the founder. What exactly is the mission? What did I mean, you kind of talked about your story, but what
You have
is,
some events, things
yeah,
like that.
what do you do? Do you put on events? Do you put on, you know, give out t-shirts? What do you tell us about your foundation?
So 2013, I'm 52 years old. I have no Facebook. I have no Instagram. I start Sober is the New Cool, make a trademark out of it. Don't ask me why, because this was supposed to be done for my son. My
Yeah.
sister makes a logo on a kitchen island, and off we go to make it so that I wanted people to know they didn't have to explain why, like I had to every time I went out, not always kind of making an excuse why I wasn't drinking. And it just, came to, I thought, wow, why am I always having to explain why I don't drink? So I just wanted it to be more normalized for him to say, not have to explain why he drank.
Yeah.
So it started like that. We start this Facebook page, and out of Europe, especially the UK, I get bombarded with young mothers, 50 or from third, like 25 to 70. People ask me, what did you do? How did you do it? I did get hypnotized. I did all kinds of stuff, because I got to tell you, the first year was bloody rough. I did not enjoy the first year of not drinking, because all of a sudden, Italian food went with red wine, sushi
Yeah.
was rosé, martinis was something else. And I then realized, you know what? I had much more energy. I was sleeping better. And all of a sudden, people were asking me for help. So I just never pretended to be a life coach, never pretended anything other than putting people together with other people. So, long story short, basically, I've been helping people for over 10 years. I have one young girl. This tattoo here is the sign, an infinity sign with a white heart and a pink heart. She was from London, England. She lost her life last
Oh,
year. It'll be
Oh,
a year ago, in 2 days, that we lost her. But I had her for 8 years in my life.
what is
And
her name? Let's give her, let's
Natty,
Natty.
Natty, and
Okay.
her AKA Sober Badger. She was a gift out
Sober
of 8
Badger.
billion people. For me to be able to meet her and speak to her every day on WhatsApp
Across the
was
pond too. Like,
yeah.
yeah, you said she was from Addie was from Natty was from
London.
London, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The fact that you have this amazing relationship with this young woman
Yeah.
across the pond because of a foundation that you created or founded because of your son.
I
That's an
You're helping all
amazing
kinds of
story.
people.
That is
and the funny thing, I love my sons. I have 2 wonderful sons. I always wanted a daughter and wasn't fortunate to have, and now I have daughters all over the world.
that's a
So
blessing.
I am truly blessed. I mean, when I think about the fact that people trust me enough to share their hopes, their dreams, their fears, and be part of their life is such a gift. And there's something obviously much bigger than me, because in the last 12 years, I seem to be at the right place at the right time for somebody to help them out, to give them someone down the street. Somehow I know somebody. Somehow one mother asked me from South Africa, can you help me you helped your son. Can you give me some advice? I said, wait a minute. I know a young man in South Africa. So I'm texting this young man in Africa, South Africa, and she's about 3 hours away, and they connect. And her son, after 3 attempts, is finally sober. So, I guess I just connect people around the world. And we have this little thing called the White Heart Initiative. And by people that send donations, we'll send white hearts out. I don't know why. Sometimes I'll be in an airport, I just grab a white heart and I give it to somebody. And somehow it just seems to touch people's lives, that they know they're seen, they're heard, they're loved, they're never judged, and someone thinking about them.
You have
That is so awesome.
you have the warmest aura about you. Like you just
It's Mama Bear.
Yeah,
I can see why people gravitate to you. Let me ask you this, right? Like you said, people come to you for advice. How did you do this with Matthew? Like, how are you helping so many people in your global network? That's what you have right now, is a global
No
network,
kidding.
right? And we're really blessed to be part of that network now, right? But there has to be some sort of like, because you're not studied in the trade of like you're I don't know what your education is, but you just kind of stumbled into this, right? So
yeah.
is there like a stress or an anxiety that comes with like knowing that people are counting on you to help them? Like you sometimes are their last resort, and they're coming to you like, I need help with my son. He's tried 3 times. He can't get sober. Like sad stories. Do you feel that stress and anxiety sometimes of trying to help everybody, or how do you cope with that?
Good question.
There's been so many times over the last 12 years where I just think, okay, I'm done. Especially when Natty passed away last year, I thought, I can't do this anymore. And somehow I know she's my little angel in heaven, and she's there guiding me to keep helping others. So I don't know. Every time I do get, sad, or I feel like I haven't done enough, somehow something happens that somebody sends me a letter, or they send me something that says, because of you listening to you on a podcast, or because of the people you introduced us to, we are now on our way and we have hope. So,
Oh man.
I don't know. That's why I say, I think, I had this grandmother. Well, I didn't know she was a grandmother. Somebody bought a t-shirt, because all my stuff everything goes back towards mental health and addiction. And she said, she sent me a picture in the t-shirt, and then I realized she was a grandmother. And she said, oh, but don't post my picture, because a lot of people like it on social media to be posted 5 years or a year or a day. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
the bragging rights, right? My
Yeah.
grandma was 50 years sober when she passed. So yeah, I totally get that. Yeah.
So, so Christmas Eve, I'm hosting 25 people, and at 4:30, for some reason, I look at my phone. Don't even ask me why. And
Yeah.
this grandmother had sent me a message saying, my grandkids just arrived and they want you to post my picture on social media today because they got their grandmother back. And she just
Wow.
celebrated 5 years sobriety in February.
And
So
what was her name?
Evelyn, and she was 80,
Evelyn.
and she just turned 85. So,
Congratulations, Evelyn. That's a
congratulations.
blessing. Yes.
so, it's never too early, it's never too late. And I guess all these people just somehow keep me going,
Mhm.
it keeps
You
me
were
going.
you when Chris had told me a couple of days ago that you were coming on the show and kind of gave me a little bit about your backstory. And again, I'd share with you off camera how I like to approach every episode, right? Like just fresh and, so I can ask questions. But I was thrilled to be able to talk to you because you are so inspirational. And I'm going to give you an address. I'm going to give you my address after the show. And I want one of those shirts, and I'm going to wear it on the show consistently, right? And I will rep your foundation as much as I can to help you. I don't know what that's going to do, But if you send me a double X shirt, I will rock the hell out of it. So,
And I was gonna say, I was gonna say it off camera, but Mind Split Cafe will donate, and we both want to get one of those white hearts too.
Yeah.
yeah, yes,
Yes, yes,
You know,
absolutely.
and I think the biggest thing now in the past 12 years that I've learned that sobriety is just the tip of the iceberg, because
hmm
every drug or every drink is really just to everyone who I've spoken to in the last 12 years. They're trying to fill a void. There's a sadness. It's like, me too. I remember liquid courage, it just makes you
Yeah.
feel like you've got more confidence or whatever. And the should haves, like I always thought I should have been a doctor, I should have been a lawyer, I should have been an accountant. No, I should have been me all
uh,
along. And I don't want people to
Yes.
wait till they're 64 like me and say, I'm good enough. And it
yeah,
doesn't mean you're not learning still every day, because God
yeah,
knows I learn every day, and I still make mistakes, and I still feel insecure. But I walked in Fashion Week 2 years ago for 2 consecutive years for sobriety, and to be 5'2" and not 100 pounds and not 21 was quite
it was an experience.
scary.
Not too many people could
Scary.
say
Experience,
that.
yeah.
Not too many people could say that they'll ever have the opportunity to do that, even though that might be a desire or whatever, right? For you to be able to say you did it 2 years in a row, and possibly for years in the future, right? Like that's really
Huge.
cool. That's really cool. And the fact that the universe kind of gives you the nuggets here and there
Yes, yes,
along the way, saying, "Hey Kim, don't give up. This is Evelyn calling. We're going to send Evelyn to your
yeah,
Facebook
yeah,
message and say you can post my picture now, or
yeah,
we're going to send you, Natalie and or Natty, and you're going to help her for the next several years." You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Like
yeah.
it's the little nuggets that kind of the breadcrumbs, that keep
And
going
you
down
know
the
what?
path.
I think too, I want people to realize that, the power of one, because I was a mom in a kitchen when you think about it over 12 years ago. We have an International Recovery Day that the government has made a declaration for sober is the new cool in Canada. And I
What
had
day is
30
that?
on September 30th. And I
Okay.
had last year, I had 30 countries around the world walking virtually with us.
Wow.
Wow.
And so,
September 30th. Okay.
yeah.
In
Yes.
So,
Canada. Write that
that's,
down, Chris. We're gonna
Yeah, no.
shout out September 30th.
yeah. And, like we do it the Saturday closest to the 30th because, people
Yeah,
work and stuff.
it's easier.
But
Yeah.
this year we had young mothers with baby carriages, which I got to tell you was absolutely phenomenal to see young mothers with babies, 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds that have recovered and are finding, their way in the world. And you just say to yourself, wow, this is okay. You just got to keep going somehow, and it's not always easy. And, a lot of times I think, oh God, I'm not making a difference. And then something happens and there I go. I keep going.
Oh, I love it.
I think
The story is so much better than I mean, I knew it was a
yeah.
good one, but this is just so much better than the little nuggets that I had before.
You were one of the best Canadians that ever came out of Canada. Who cares about Ryan Reynolds or Drake? Like or Corey Joseph. Shout out to Corey Joseph. That was a friend of mine. But
Yeah, you
but you are one of the coolest people and one of the most inspirational lives that we've been able to interview. And I get the reasoning why you started, but I'm so glad that you found a more reasoning to continue.
continue.
You
Yeah.
know,
Well, I met your Miss Lisa. She came to meet me in New York City at Fashion Week.
yeah.
That's how I met her 2
Was she
years ago.
dancing? Miss Lisa
No,
loves
she
to dance.
wasn't.
She wasn't dancing yet. Oh my
Not
God.
well, she wasn't that night, but we
Yeah.
had the best time. And it was funny because she walked into the venue and I was at the front before to greet some certain people that were coming from out of town. And you know what? It was like an instant connection that we had. It was like we were sisters from forever. And
Yeah.
she's
That's
coming
so
to New
awesome.
York for my white party in
Uh,
May. So I'll see her again. Yeah.
what day is the white party?
The 16th of May, a
16th of
Friday, New York City. Yep. And
Nice.
we should be between 20 to 30 women.
Okay. Is it
I-
women only?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
The next day we have a walk in Central Park where everyone can attend. And we'll be visiting a young woman's shop, a cookie shop that her name is Janie Bakes. And she used to live underneath a bridge, believe it or not.
Wow.
Ended up making cookies when she got into recovery. What ended up on Shark Tank, no less, and has 3 cookie places in New York. So this year, we didn't make it last year. We the weather just didn't cooperate. This year, we're praying that we can walk to her cookie shop and the girls will meet her. So,
Janie
That is
Bakes.
so
I
awesome.
love
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, we're running kind of short on time. The episode has flown by like it always does when we get to
Yeah.
talk to inspirational people like you, Kim. But again, for the website, guys, it's soberistheNewCool.ca. You can also find her on Instagram at sober.is.the.new.cool.
Yeah.
And that's on Instagram. Feel free to reach out to her. You can find her on Facebook. Sober is the New Cool. If you look it up. So, Kim, thank you for being part of the show. You are just an inspiration, and I'm looking forward to any merch that you want to send me because I will wear it on every episode. I promise you. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Yes. And we're going to be sending magazines to her party in New York.
Yep.
So we'll get those out there as well. And to any of our listeners, I know you're going to have some listeners take a look at this episode, but to any of our listeners, check out Kim on Instagram. She will actually be going live sometime soon, I believe, with Miss
Yeah.
Lisa talking about the magazine and showing off Miss Lisa on the back cover. So that'd be
Love
kind of
it.
cool to watch too.
Love it. Well, I wish you everything, all the possibilities and all the blessings that you deserve. And if there's anything that Mind Split Cafe can do for you to get the word out, please do not hesitate to reach back out to us. And you're welcome back anytime you want to come back and just kind of hang out. So we would
Well,
love to
thank
have
you.
you.
Thank you so much. And I love what you're doing. Love it. Love it. So I'm
Well,
blessed to have met you. Thank you for having me.
We are
100%.
blessed to have met you, and we wish Matthew all the best. He's 7 years seizure free.
Yes.
That is a tremendous accomplishment. So shout out to Matthew, and we'll see you soon. Take care,
Thank
guys.
you.
Till next week.
Thank
See you
you.
guys next week.